I use a aggressive claw grip for FPS gaming. It feels right, it feels natural, and it feels like it allows me to aim at my best level. Not that that level is really all that good. But I did realize that I didn't really like the common philosophy and agree with it about how ambidextrous, symmetrical mice are the best for claw grip gaming. While I enjoyed the Razer Viper Ultimate and the Razer Viper V2 Pro, I started to find myself not really loving it all that much. Like, it was good, but it wasn't great. It wasn't like perfection, which was what I wanted. So I decided to experiment a little bit, and I thought maybe the answer is small ergonomic mice designed for palm gripping, but then I claw grip it. So I got this. This is the glorious Model D minus wireless, and we're going to talk about whether it's a good mouse to get to begin with if you're trying to claw grip it. Essentially what this is a budget-friendly, well, kind of, smaller size ergonomic style gaming mouse. It's reasonably lightweight at 66 grams, and it is wireless, and it's the definition of practical. It's one of those shapes that, in my opinion, draws pretty heavy inspiration from the Razer Mamba. It feels like it's a smaller Razer Mamba, though it's not exactly the same because obviously it's much smaller than that and definitely has some tweaks here and there. Its ergonomic shape means it has deep grooves for your clicks, which is nice actually, even in the claw grip, because it means your fingers don't slip and slide around. It's got a very deep groove on the left side that goes downwards and inwards for your thumb, which is actually really good for claw gripping because you have a lot of leverage and grit to hold onto your mouse tightly. And on the right side, it slows outwards as it goes down, as you get with most ergonomic mice. Now, a lot of people prefer downwards, inwards sloping, symmetrical ambidextrous style mice, like on the V2 Pro or the G Pro Wireless. But I started to realize I actually really dislike that. For one, a lot of these mice have like a sharp edge, so it kind of rubs against your pinky and your forefinger. Another is that because it's a narrow groove and your finger kind of has to hold on tight at an arch like this, what ends up happening is your forefinger and your pinky end up just rubbing against each other, and I find that to be really uncomfortable when I use the V2 Pro or the Viper Ultimate, and that's also one of the reasons why I started to look at more ergonomic designs, although one's designed for smaller hands. The palm support arch isn't too high or sharp, and I expect it to be quite comfortable for smaller hands trying to palm grip it. The click position is also pretty low. It's not the lowest ever, but it's comfortable enough and I have no issues here whatsoever. And the clicks are really satisfying on this mouse. They're super duper light. They're very crisp with basically no pre or post travel, and really good, really solid. They're not part of the top shell, so they're very consistent throughout, and the tensioning is pretty consistent. So even if I did an aggressive click towards the back here, no issues whatsoever. The scroll wheel is pretty light. It's nothing particularly good. I really hate the shape of the coating. The rubber that they put on here has like these big dimples. I don't like it at all. They should do what Pulsar does with a soft, supple rubber coat, but they won't. There's also a DPI button behind the scroll wheel, and there are also two thumb buttons, of course. They are nice, they're clicky, though they do have quite a bit of post travel, so some might think they are spongy. I have nothing against them. I think they are perfectly adequate. This mouse also has RGB. I would have preferred if there was no RGB to save weight, but this was a mouse I think from like 2021 or 2020, so RGB was due to prevalent. Also, Glorious has to put RGB in their mice. They are an RGB company basically at this point, so it is what it is. As I said, it is a 66 gram mice, which is pretty light, but it's not achieved through a uniform body like say on the Razer Viper V2 Pro. It has holes in it, and while it's not like a Pulsar style innovative hole design, it's not the worst holes in mice situation. I mean, yes, there are holes in the bottom, holes in the back. It's a standard hexagon pattern, but I've seen worse and I have really no issues against it. Some people really absolutely hate holes in their gaming mice. I have no problems with it. So on the bottom, you've got 4 mice feet. They're kind of small in terms of surface area, but they gripe pretty well. Got no issues with them whatsoever, so I literally cannot complain at all. It also has a DPI light on the bottom to indicate which DPI mode you're in. I frankly don't understand gaming mice with DPI modes because most people I know leave their mice in one DPI and never change it ever again after that. So like, I don't need a DPI light. I don't need DPI indicators. I just need one DPI mode and an easy way to adjust and set the DPI and forget about it. Speaking of which, setting up this mouse pisses me off because I have to go through Glorious's core software, which boots up whenever you boot up your computer. It is a always on software for your mouse to perform properly, and it's just complicated and not that great. It's very frustrating. For one, you can't adjust the number of DPI profiles you have. You have to have 4 DPI profiles at all times. So if you only use one DPI, like me, I only use 1600 DPI, you cannot avoid it. It's always 1600 DPI. So I had to set all 4 profiles to 1600 DPI, which is just like a stupid annoyance and hassle. And since we're on the topic of DPI, well, this mouse uses the glorious BAMF sensor. I'm willing to bet money it's based on like the 3370, which is the sensor that everyone uses. It's good, it's fine, it's got no lag, no smoothing issues, no latency whatsoever. Most people have no issues with it. You shouldn't as well. No tilt slam problems, so don't worry about it too much. Build quality is also pretty excellent despite its holes. There are no really creaks or rattles or wriggles, which is nice. It's not perfect in terms of build quality like the Viper V2 Pro or the Pulsar X Lite V2, but it definitely does not feel super cheap, so no issues here whatsoever. So then in conclusion, should you get the glorious Model D- wireless? Well, personally, I wouldn't recommend it for too many people, even the people who this shape and size might be right for. Small Ergo palm grippers. Because while there is the better looking, better engineered, cooler, lighter, higher performance, and I think cheaper, if not similarly priced, Pulsar X Lite Wireless V2 Mini available. And I will only recommend you get the Model D- wireless if you can't get the Pulsar version. From basically every review comparing the two I've seen online, that wins hands down on a spec sheet, on a subjective level, and an objective level. But that's not to say this gaming mouse is bad. It's a really good choice for a lot of people. And if it's the right shape and the right size, you're gonna have a great time for a very, very reasonable price, and you're gonna have plenty of performance to go around. It's just that there is a much more attractive option out there, and if it's available to you, you should pick it 10 out of 10 of the times you're offered it, which is the Pulsar. Either way though, I'm glad that I got the Model D- wireless for review because I learned one very important thing. I actually prefer ergonomic shape mice way more than I prefer ambidextrous style mice. I got it all twisted and all construed. I thought I liked the Viper V2 Pro. I thought I liked the Viper style of shapes. I was wrong. What I want right now is a small, ergonomic shape that is good for palm grip if you have small hands, but awesome for my style of claw grip because I have medium-sized hands. And I will be on the hunt for that daily driver. And until I find that, I will not rest. And with that, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, and big thanks to you if you watched this point in this video. If you did, comment glorious Morbius, because it's Morbin time. And goodbye.